Hello, welcome to Surrogate Church. Today we are looking at the topic of miracles and what does it mean to actually experience a miracle and what is a miracle? Look, I grew up with the thought of miracles being sort of magical, something extraordinary happening that otherwise couldn't have happened, some blessing from God that has been bestowed upon us. And I still believe that to be true. But I've come to know another kind of miracle. And that's the kind of miracle that's much more subtle. And it occurs in the realm of seeing, of perceiving, of a simple shift in the way that we might look at something that revolves our heart, that moves our heart from a place of anger or frustration or confusion or hopelessness or loss of faith to the shift into looking at something with more than our eyes and listening with more than just our ears, really embodying a connection with the divine. And that's what makes it miraculous, to help shift the way we see something. Now, as a mother, there is no greater miracle than being part of the birth of a child. And to participate in the surrogacy, from the start, the odds were stacked highly, highly against us. And I knew that we all needed the blessing and smile from God to allow this to occur. And when we got to the place in the pregnancy where we were just about to give birth, it suddenly occurred to me that we were close to arriving, that I was now at the threshold of the final push, the ending of the journey. And in the ending of the carrying, like all endings, carried sadness, like this piece was about to be over. But at the same time, such joy in a new life was about to be born. So the piece I'm going to read today takes us to the delivery room on the day when Mary, my surrogate daughter, was born. We labored through the night, sort of. Me, Rosalie, Stephen, and Lee. We arrived in time to get an epidural, midnight, the first one ever for me. It was scary. Perfectly still, don't move a muscle, giant needle, hot liquid entering the spine, shooting through the body, burning, itching, tingling, and then nothing. No moaning, no rhythmic breathing, no riding the contraction blanket, awake but dreamy, floating above it all, uncomfortably numb. Oh, so this is what it feels like to take drugs. Easy, disconnected, boring as anything. I like feeling. I like working hard. I like participating. This isn't labor. It's lounging. Our nurse, Christine, is so nice. She loves our story. The doctor goes to sleep. The four of us are left alone. Call if you need anything. Rosalie, Stephen, and Lee chattering away. I drift off. I hear Lee from the clouds. I think he's doing a stand-up comedy routine, except he's sitting on a chair with wheels, zipping around the room, zooming over to check my monitors, rolling back to read out loud a discarded wrapper of medical equipment he picked up along the way, with instructions written on it in 14 different languages. I think he's speaking Chinese. He zooms over to the doctor, calls in an attendant walking down the hall. He asks, "Do you want to play? Can you guess what language I'm reading?" The attendant joins in. Russian, French, German. The attendant moves on. Rosalie is hysterically laughing, a perfect audience for Lee's hyper ramblings. Stephen is sleeping in the corner. I ask, "What time is it?" Lee answers, 2 a.m. Are you ready to push? I just look at him. I don't feel like answering. My words stay in my head. I go back to my cloud. Angels all around. Pretty, girly angels. Soon it will be time. They will help me push. Smiles all around, excitement in the air, the birth canal adorned with flowers. When the sun rises, she will be born into the light of a new day. I feel suddenly humbled. I see Lee from the clouds. I think he's wearing a clown suit, dancing to the beep, beep, beeps of the monitors. I take a closer look. It's the surgical cap and paper shoes. Why is he wearing that now? Stephen is giving out snacks and blowing up rubber gloves. Rosalie is still laughing. They all seem so merry. That's Lee's doing, his gift, to infuse fun during these last nerve-wracking hours. He feels the wonder of it all, the excitement, the anticipation, the celebration, the gift of new life, the happiest days of his life, watching his children be born. I ask again, "What time is it?" Lee answers, 4 a.m. Are you okay? I don't feel the baby moving. I tell him to call Christine. She gives me some sugar water. I go into the womb. The baby wakes up. I say, "It's your birthday. You need to get ready. There's a party waiting for you with a clown and a happy mommy and a daddy who has lots of treats and funny balloons and girls with wing dresses. It's time to celebrate." She moves into position, and the muted waves of the womb push her along her way. It won't be long now. I wake up too. The pressure of the contractions increase. Lee jumps to my side. Rosalie gets scared. She and Stephen huddle in the corner, tears in their eyes. The pain is light. It's hard to believe that I'm about to give birth. The doctor wakes up, the sun rises, it's time to push. Lee stands at the gateway of life, waiting for the new arrival. I don't need him to hold me. I am in the arms of the heavens. There is no pain. I push, but there's not much force or fury behind it. The doctor tells me to try harder. Christine's eyes fill with tears. She says, "The baby is so close. We can see her head. Lots of black hair." Lee sings out, "Wow! I never got to see it from this angle." All those years of modesty out the window. At least my brother-in-law stays in the corner holding my sister. She needs him to hold her now. She's about to have a baby. I push again, but it's a wimpy one. Drugs really are not for me. They dampen my life force. Lee coaches. "Come on, Marianne, push. This is it. The last push ever. You'll never push another baby out into the world again." He expects me to take him seriously, wearing his tight scrubs and shower cap. My insides start laughing, creating a ripple of continuous quakes, pushing in and out until the earth opens up and a baby emerges. Oh my God. She is beautiful. I see her so clearly. From where I am, still floating above it all, reveling in the miracle of creation. Everything is illuminated. From a tiny dot implanted in my womb, a baby grew. This baby, the baby the doctor is holding. Her parents join her, cut the cord. She is cleaned up, she is examined, all is well. She is handed to me. I hold her in my arms. Everyone is perfectly still, silent, reverent. Rhythmic breaths bring me back to my body. It's a little achy. To my bed, it is soft. To my head, it is quiet. To my heart, it is full, bursting with feelings of accomplishment, gratitude, hope, love, relief. I look at Rosalie and Stephen. I feel so happy for them. We did it. I burst into tears. The first tears I have felt in a long time. Warm, messy tears. 9 months of contained tears released. At last, I look at their baby girl. I say, "Welcome, sweetie pie. It's time to meet your mother and father." I hand her over to Rosalie and Stephen, the three of them together, finally, as they should be. They take her to the nursery. I look at Lee and smile. The doctor says, "Okay, one last push." I say, "Hey, I thought I was done pushing." Lee chimes in, "Oh, the placenta push." I complain, "I hate the placenta push." Lee steps back. "I think your drugs may be wearing off." I growl, "Yeah?" And out flies my placenta. It lands in the stainless steel bowl with a loud splat of completion. I'm done. And so, the miracle of birth. Not so sure that the miracle that I came to know in the surrogacy is really that of birth. Birth is amazing, and it is a process. But I'm coming to see that we do it all the time. In this lifetime, we are called to be born again and again, and it takes labor and sustained pushing. And even when you push through, there's always another push. That placenta push is always right behind us. Really hard. The miracle in this piece was the opportunity I had to witness birth. I was not attached to Mary in the way that I was attached to my other children. She was not mine. I knew when she came forth from me, she was of me, but she did not belong to me. And so I was able to see with expanded vision. That was the miracle. And I will never forget the feeling of watching the birth and taking in the sense of illumination and the scope of the journey it takes to go from conception to birth, and the incredible sense of accomplishment that comes with that. What a miraculous gift we are given as human beings, to see something from start to finish, and then to have the potential of miraculous presence, to be able to be present every once in a while in a way that helps us to see beyond what is happening right in front of us and take in the work of God in the process of what's happening right in front of us. And so today, I have the great pleasure of having on my couch with me John Napolitano. John has been a student of life for his whole life, and he has certainly gone through his share of challenges. Most recently, he is a devoted student to A Course in Miracles, and he is going to be sharing with us some of the wisdom that he has picked up along the way, being a student, but also being a man, a father, a musician, a human being on this path of life. So excited for you to meet him. So let's get to the couch. So John, welcome.
Thank you, Marianne.
I am so glad you made it here today.
I am so glad I made it too.
Almost didn't make it here.
No.
But you got here,
Yeah.
which is great. So much of a theme that I talk about every week is this idea of obstacles that get in our way of showing up, and what we actually try to push past to show up anyway. And so it's always so great to have someone show up.
It's funny that you say that because Marianne, I run Marianne Williamson's events, lecture, not her events, her lectures from Marble on Tuesday nights, and she says that it's not ever about what the obstacle or what's going on. It's about how you showed up, what you did.
How you even showed up in face of the obstacle.
How you showed up, what you did, and it's never about the obstacle or what's going on. It's about how you showed up in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that helps because then it holds us kind of having some control of how we choose to show up.
Well, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Right?
Yeah. Again, Marianne says the universe is like central casting. It'll put us in the situations that we need to grow, and it'll put the exact perfect people in that situation for us. And we can either come from a place of fear or ego and not get it, or come from a place of love
and receive it as a lesson.
Show up, and then grow and continue.
Now, talking about Marianne Williamson is one of the great teachers of A Course in Miracles.
I think the
right? She has been talking about it for so long.
I think the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Right? And she actually speaks about it in ways that makes it so accessible.
Like your next door neighbor's talking to you.
Right? And because Course in Miracles is actually a very intense, difficult text.
Dense.
Tell us a little bit about what
Very
Course
dense.
in
When
Miracles
I first started reading Course in Miracles, it was given to me by someone who didn't explain it to me. She had wanted me just to get it on my own. So I started reading it, and I remember calling her up and saying, am I reading the words of Jesus Christ? And she went, yeah, I just wanted you to get it. And so I look at this thing, and I knew no one who was going through this or this kind of spiritual path at that time, or who even knew of this book. No one. So I'd read this stuff and go, what? And I'd read it over and over again, and I had no one to refer to kind of help me through, what is this? What is going on here? It could be a little overwhelming.
It's very dense.
So she turned me on to Marianne Williamson, who at the time lived in L.A., and she said, go onto her Monday night live streams. And I would go, oh, yeah, okay. And she just has a talent of talking about it like we're talking, and you understand it on this level, and then it really got in there and it really helped.
And then how did you actually get to start working her events?
Well, I was on those Monday night live streams every Monday night from California. So she would go on at 7:30 California time. It'd be 10:30 by us. I put my kids to bed, and I would fight to stay up to try to listen to this live stream. And I'll never forget the time that she ended the live stream by saying, okay, this will be my next to last show in California because my daughter moved to London, so I'll be going to the East Coast. And I jumped out of my AZ Boy, and I got on my computer, and I typed in Marianne.com, and I sent an email saying, hey, if you're coming to the East Coast, I'm going to be at every one of those lectures, so use me. I'll sweep the floor, I'll clean the bathroom, I'll run for coffee, I'll use me. And they called me, and I started as the CD burner. Because she sells the CDs at the end of the show.
Yes.
And eventually I ended up being her kind of organizing and running it.
And it seems that like there wasn't even a moment of thought to sort of talk you out of that move.
No. The opposite. I knew when I got that call from Wendy, who kind of runs Marianne's events, to ask if I would be part of the team. And I said, yeah. I knew, and it's that knowing, it's that trusting and knowing. I knew that one day I'd be really, really involved. I didn't know how, and it didn't matter to me. I just knew.
And that is part of a knowing that I feel like regardless of how you're seeking, or how anyone is seeking, I think what we have to make more room for as human beings is trusting this knowing with more of our body. That's the only way I can explain it. Like before, I'm a thinker, I'm a meaning maker, I like to make meaning and figure things out, but like it really would live from here up, like in the thoughts, what I'm picking up, what I'm listening to, and I feel like sinking more into a full body knowing. Because even when you just said that, John, you were like, like you knew. You went right to your heart.
No.
My heart is talking to me.
This is what, and if I may, I'm going to reference Marianne a lot because
she's a great
but
teacher.
I'm also going to reference Abraham Hicks, and if you know a little bit about.
Yes, tell us about Abraham.
Abraham Hicks. Well, Esther Hicks is a woman she's been around a very long time, and she's able to go into a meditation, deep meditation, and then spirit comes and speaks through her.
So that would be like a channel.
She channels many spirits at one time. They call themselves Abraham, but they're many, many, many spirits. They're not just one spirit.
They're like a collective.
Yes, and I find a lot of parallels in A Course in Miracles and Abraham Hicks, so I tend to quote them both. And I just forgot what you were talking about just now, but I had
about this full body knowing.
Oh, allowing and trusting. So what Abraham, and now A Course in Miracles says it in one way, and Abraham Hicks says it in a way that I find a little bit clearer, that I'll reference. That when we get too caught up in the horizontal, this is Marianne's interpretation from A Course in Miracles. When we get too caught up in the horizontal plane, which is the egoic plane, which is what our body's eyes see, then we're limited to what the body's eyes can see, which is clearly very limiting. When we're more in the vertical and trusting and coming from our inner beings, our higher selves, we really see. And A Course in Miracles has something that I'll read in a bit to reference that. But Abraham Hicks says it beautifully, and it resonates with me. It's when we are thinking or coming from the mind, we are trying to control. We are trying to control what the universe doesn't need our help to control. The universe takes the acorn and grows it into the tree. The universe takes the embryo, makes it a baby. We don't do that. The universe rotates the planets around the sun. They know what they're doing. They don't need our help. Abraham Hicks says when we feel right, when it feels right, when our intuition says to do it, that is us being aligned with our inner selves, our higher selves, our inner beings, and that is what we trust, and ultimately what we're allowing the universe to unfold before us.
Okay, so that to me, listening to you just speak, put that piece that I just read in a whole different perspective, because I think what happened to me in the birth of Mary was actually the intersect of the horizontal plane. In the mundane place, I carried a baby for my sister, and now she's arriving. And the vertical plane, which is God, is coming through me and allowing me to see this baby from that perspective, which is the cross.
The cross, the symbol of the cross.
At the center. That's the miracle.
That's the presence.
That's the miracle moment.
That is the miracle. And when
the what is that called?
Being present.
The intersect.
Yeah.
It's the intersect of the mundane plane with this.
Yes. When we're present, which Eckhart Tolle talks about.
That totally gives me a different sense
when
of the
Eckhart
cross.
Tolle wrote The Power of Now, which is an incredible book to reference, that's what he's talking about. The presence, when we are in our present moment, which is all A Course in Miracles, Abraham Hicks speaks about it in different terms, when we are not projecting into the future and we're not pulling thoughts in from the past and we're just being here, that present moment is brilliant, and because it is the intersection of the vertical and the horizontal, and we are our spiritual selves and our physical experience in the present moment. And if the more we can come from that space, the more healing everybody will be.
Well, because there's really the ability for all of us to live in the divine.
Yeah.
Right? To
Yes.
be in a very divine presence.
It's exhilarating.
And I've never liked the symbol of the cross, because I feel like the cross shows Jesus' suffering. So my feeling was like, why can't we wear, as Catholics, like the risen Christ?
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I really can take on that symbol as this, because, right, Jesus walked the earth plane, he walked the red road, he walked the walk of human, and in that moment of his death was such complete trust and connection, death and birth, right, with the divine, that it allowed for rebirth.
Well, Marianne also says in the Course in Miracles, it's clear that Jesus did not want us to dwell on the crucifixion. That's not what that was. He was not about the crucifixion. It was
Right.
about the resurrection. He did not want us to dwell on the crucifixion.
So that's why we need to rethink the cross. And now, tell us a little bit about your own personal journey and what brought you to, like,
yeah.
how did you arrive at court? How did you arrive?
Do you want to hear
at
that
getting
whole
to-
story? Because you know it's a little long. You've heard it before.
Well,
Do you-
okay, so I'll tell you, because we're doing an interview, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to like ask the question as if I've never heard it before. But, okay,
Sorry, I
I'll
didn't
tell
mean to
you.
bust you on
I'll
that one,
tell
but-
you. All right, honesty.
Yeah.
I actually, there are different ways of meeting people, right? And one of the ways we meet people is through stories other people tell us about them. So I met John, I think it's like over 6 years ago. A dear friend who's in my writing group, Mary Lou, had come to group 6 or 7 years ago, and she told us about John and his wife at the time. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling a little
I'm
emotional.
getting a little verklempt too, because she's here. That's why.
Right? So she told us about John and his wife Mary, who were going through Mary having pancreatic cancer, right? I'm really feeling moved.
Because she's here.
And that she was battling this with everything in her,
Yeah.
and that you were like devoted
Yeah.
to her in this process. So Mary Lou would tell us about it, and we would just all be in that story, the story of devotion
Yeah.
and love and actually seeking a miracle.
Yeah.
Like Mary Lou told us about a lot of the prayers and work with Padre Pio,
Yeah.
remembering,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We weren't very spiritual people. Well, that's not true. We weren't aware of our spirituality. We went to church but I didn't know much about Jesus, except I believed that Jesus was my Lord and Savior. I didn't know much about him. When the priest was doing the homily and would reference a reading from the Corinthians, I didn't know what the Corinthians was, but I was just in church with my wife and my kids and having feeling good. But we didn't know. My wife knew more than me, but my wife was in tune with this without even realizing it. And I had really no contact with. I didn't know what spirituality was. I had nothing. But we were somehow looking for a miracle and not accepting this fate that eventually did happen. She transitioned 6 years ago and 3 months ago. But we weren't thinking that was a possibility. We were just expecting a miracle. We didn't know how to go about seeking one. But she was treating herself holistically, 74 pills a day, not synthetic, all natural stuff, and eating nothing that would raise her blood sugar, so that the cancer had nothing to feed on. But ultimately, it overcame her, and she transitioned in June of 2011. And then just so,
Yes.
2 years of I basically I don't remember what those 2 years that followed were. I don't remember much of it. I know that I got up in the morning and got my kids ready for school and made them breakfast and made them lunch and tried to make it sound like it always sounded so that they would be okay. And then, but once they left, I just went to bed and pulled the covers over my head, and I was a mess. And I didn't know what to do or how to handle it. And I had that defining moment that Marianne says we all tend to have before we go on our spiritual journey. I don't know why that has to be, but whatever. I had that moment. I can see it actually as if I watched it from outside my body. But
Yes.
so I remember walking. The kids got off to school. It was in the afternoon, and I was about to do my typical pull the covers over my head and wait for them to come home and try to act like everything was okay again. Am I talking too fast?
No, you're great.
And as I remember going to walk out of my bedroom, and not to get all dramatic, but I just remember the moment dropping to my knees as if somebody punched me in the stomach and just breaking down and going, I cannot do this anymore. And I remember saying out loud, and I think I actually said, God, I can't do this anymore. You have to drive the ship. You have to try. I think I said drive the ship. And he did. I've learned since then that when you ask, you receive. And so that day, whether it was ironic, coincidence or not, because I don't believe in coincidences anymore, I got a package in the mail. It was a Bible, and my buddy who had been going, fellow musician from White Plains who had been going through a hard time himself, sent me a Bible because we had been talking and he kind of asking me how I'm doing, and so he sent me a Bible with my name on it, and I started there. I didn't know what to do, so kids would go to school. I read the Bible for the first time, and now I knew what Corinthians was, and now I knew what. So I kind of, that helped. And oddly enough, I said to myself, without even realizing what I was doing. Without realizing I was manifesting, I remember saying, why couldn't there be? Because when you read the Bible, there's a couple of red lines that Jesus said, and then the rest is what the disciples said.
Yes.
And I remember when I got to that point where there were the red lines from Jesus, I was like, oh, but there's only 2 lines. There's only 3 lines. I remember saying, why can't there be a book that Jesus wrote?
Just all
Jesus. Right. So I read the Bible. That lasted for about a year and a half, and then I got to some books. Anita Morjani wrote this near-death experience book. I forgot what it was called, and I started to read those books because I wanted to know what my wife experienced when she was transitioning and where she was now and what it felt like. So I started to read those books, and from there, I've learned of meditation. I never meditated, and to be honest with you, I always thought some people who meditated were either on drugs or had too much free time.
Yes, well, there was a whole different stigma attached to it, like it was such a stereotype.
I didn't get it, and I was judgmental, and
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right. It wasn't common practice, right?
I guess, but some people it was common practice,
Right.
but I didn't know anybody who did, or they didn't tell me they did. But so I tried to learn how to meditate because I thought, okay, if I can somehow learn to connect with my wife this way, the way these books are saying, I'll try it. So my kids would go to school, I'd sit, I'd try to meditate, and I'd fall asleep all the time. I would always fall asleep. But I tried, and I finally got referred to a medium in California who said she'd talk me through a guided meditation on the phone. So I called her up, and she talked me through this guided meditation, and I was struggling through it because I wasn't seeing anything she was asking me to see. She'd say, okay, John, I have you in this beautiful field with running water. Can you see it? And you can. It was recorded, so you can hear me say, okay, yeah.
I see it.
I see it, okay. And I'm putting your wife there. She's in front of the garden. Can you see her? And I'm like, oh, all right, I can see her. All right, now I'm going to ask you to walk over to her. Can you walk over to her now? And I'd be like, oh, okay, all right, I'm walking over to her. And I was really trying, but I wasn't. I wasn't doing it.
You weren't feeling it.
No, but I was in. I was going to try to do this.
You were going to see it through.
And so I get to the point where she says, okay, now I'm going to ask your wife to give you some things, and I'll explain to you why later. Just tell me what she gives you. And I said, okay. And she was like, okay, now I'm asking her to give you an object from the kitchen. What did she give you? And I went, a pot. Okay, a pot, great. And I'm asking her to give you a time of the day. What time of the day did she give you? 6:18. All right, 6:18. And I'm gonna add, now this is the exact cadence this happened, because everything that she asked me, you could hear me struggling. Green. She gave me green. But then she said, okay, give me the name of a woman, Pam. And that was the exact cadence. But I never paid attention to that, and I just continued on that meditation. And then she sent me the recording via Dropbox, and that was that. So for a year that passed, I every morning got the kids to school, would sit, would try to meditate, use the guided meditation sometimes, sometimes not. Couldn't do it. But one day, maybe a year later, it might have been, I remember waking up from that meditation going, oh, I think I did. I think I did that. I think I felt that. I think that was it. And then the name Pam, this is a year later, the name Pam came to me. And I remember thinking, why? I trying to get rid of it so I could remember what the meditation did. But the name Pam wouldn't leave me alone. And I said, okay, I had been praying to God to please give me a sign that it would be clear as day and give me the courage to not only to recognize it, but the courage to see it through. So I said, all right, if you're giving me Pam, I'll go with Pam. The only Pam I ever knew was a woman I dated right before I started dating my wife. And once I dated my wife, I was done and married. And so I go on, I will go on the linked, and
Okay.
I find her, and I type in, hey, Pam, it's John. How you doing? How's it going?
Right, you're just following it.
Yeah. And she calls back, and it was one of those phone calls where you know someone's busy. I know she was in the car clearly. I was on a speakerphone. It's like, hey, John, how's it going? I went, hey, Pam, how are you? Great. What's up? And I went, well, you're going to think I'm out of my mind, but I was meditating, and you came to me, so I reached out to you. And she went, oh, my God, that's unbelievable. I'm on my way well, I'm getting my master's in guided meditations and spiritual work. We were meant to speak. I'll call you later. And I hung up the phone and went, what just happened?
Right.
That was the most bizarre thing. And
Trust.
so Pam gets me into this whole spirituality thing. She's the one who sent me the Course in Miracles book. She said, you're ready for this. I went, all right. She sent it to me. She's the one who, when I read it, and I said, okay, am I reading the words of Jesus Christ? She went, yes, you are. And that opened up that my whole everything. And then as fast as she was in my life, she was out of my life. Like, she was brought there for that reason.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
what got me into the Course in Miracles. Did I just go off on a crazy tangent?
Not at all. It's so connected. And what is so important about your story, and I really want to drive home to our viewers, is you went into the grieving process. It's over 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
There was no quick fix to the grieving.
No.
There was no quick fix. And the pain, actually my last show was all about grieving and how we don't really know how to come out of that fog. And our culture, like, we really don't have enough support to be able to spiritually rise out of it, because the only way through grief is spiritually, I believe. I really do. And I know when my father died, which was very suddenly, I was 29, right before I was getting married, I took years of visiting medium after medium,
Yeah, I did that
just
too.
because I wanted to hear him again. I wanted to hear him. Like, I know you're somewhere else. Like, you don't need to confirm
I
you're
get
somewhere
there?
else. Just talk to me, guide me. And so the point of the story that you were saying, and it's funny because you started by saying, this is a long story. You sure you want me to go into it? Yes, because it's a long journey.
Yeah.
It is not a simple journey.
Yeah.
It really is. How, like, you had no other choice but to keep showing up, because that day you went down on your knees. It's either I'm going to die or I've got to be reborn.
And the universe listens. They do. When you ask, you do receive. You really do. I mean, that took me 2 years of trying to do it with my brain.
Yes.
Trying to do it myself. And when I said, you got to take over, he did.
And then, the course of events wasn't quick either.
No, it matched where I was
Right.
ready. Like
That's key.
Abraham
That's key.
Abraham Hicks says you cannot go from here to there. That's a very important thing. You can wish that, and you'll get it, but you can't go from here to there. So everything, and I only see this now, was put in front of me to get me where I could go and then be ready for that next one and then be ready for that next one. I didn't know that, but that's what was happening, and that's what's still happening.
Absolutely.
And it's happening all the time for all of us.
And so has your relationship with Mary changed since you've been involved in the course? Because I continue to have a relationship with my father on the other side.
I mean, I talk to my wife all the time, and I know that she's around me. I know she was here a second ago when we were both
my
verklempt.
gosh, it was so overwhelming.
She comes to
that
me in
love.
numbers, in 1-1, 111, all the time, and so my relationship. I mean, of course, see, the obvious thing is, of course, it changed because it's not on a physical plane, but it's. Listen, if I was to leave this body right now, if I was out of here in 5 minutes, and you said, okay, give me one thing, what did you get? That love is eternal and unconditional. So that's not that's the
Doesn't
connection.
die.
That connection is stronger, actually. Believe it or not, it's stronger.
Right, because I would think that you're kind of moving past wanting to get her back here.
Yeah,
right?
no, of course.
And moving into the purity
Yeah.
of the love.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a very profound journey.
Yeah.
And so why do you think it's the Course of Miracles that resonates so strongly with you? What is it in the lessons
Well,
there?
I mean, the two big things, we just had this, I was with Marianne last night at the lecture, and the volunteers, we were talking about this, and this just came up last night. If you had to break it down, and it's very hard to break down, that book is so dense, but if you had to break it down into just a few things, what is this about? It's about forgiveness and trust. And without the and not judging, and without the faith, what do you have? All you have is this table and what you can earn, what we can earn, and what we wear and what we look like. And not that that's not important on a certain level, but what the Course in Miracles does is give you a clearer picture of what you are. We are God's children. We are exactly as God created us. Yes, we're having a physical experience, but we all know how temporary that is. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and when you come from that space, everything is different.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in your egoic mind, which is the Course in Miracles thing, and you're only coming from the horizontal, and all you see is separation. In other words, it's me against you. I want more. I want that, so that you can't have it. If you're coming from that space, not that you can't achieve things. You can certainly achieve things and make money, but you'll never have that peace. And Marianne says this all the time. That comes from the vertical. That comes from knowing who you really are. So when you lose your ego, and not that we can lose it 100%. We're in our bodies, but when you can control it and see at least that that was the ego, and watch it and from a place of presence, and always be aware that we really are all one, and not separate. That's a really great. It's a very peaceful place to be. It really is. It's a very comforting place to be, and it's not easy, of course. But that's why this course is brilliant, because it's, for those of you who don't know the Course in Miracles, it's laid out for a lesson for every single day of the year.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I should. Do you want me to briefly tell you the history of the Course in Miracles?
Yes, love that. That would be great.
In the late '60s, at Columbia University, and forgive me for forgetting the person's name, but the person who ran a department wanted to make it more friendly. He thought it was a little bit too strict and unfriendly. So he asked if anybody would help him try to put together a more friendly way of teaching. And Helen Schuckman, a self-proclaimed Jewish atheist, decided she would do it. And to make a long story short, she went home that night after agreeing to participate in this, and a voice came to her and wouldn't leave her alone, and it persisted for a couple of days, and she went and told the gentleman who asked for the initial help that, hey, I'm having these voices in my head, and it's kind of freaking me out. And he said, well, write down, shorthand what it's telling you, and I'll type it out. So they did that every day for 7 years.
7 years.
And
wow.
came
Talk
across
about
with
the
that
journey.
book. Now, she did not take credit for writing that book, and not until she passed did her family make it known that she was the scriber of that book, that it was the voice of Jesus, that she was just writing what he told her to write. And the book is split up in 3 ways. The first part is a text. It's just text that you're meant to read it anytime you're drawn to it. The middle part of the book is 365 lessons, one for each day of the year, and it's laid out perfectly by Jesus, so you can't go wrong. It makes you really see clearly.
Yes.
And then the back end of the book is a manual for teachers, which we all are.
Yeah.
We're teachers and students at the same time.
Yes, I see that.
And that's how that book came to be. So those lessons, if you just and it's very clear. Marianne emphasizes this as well, and it says it in the book. Don't think because you don't quite understand it, that lesson, or you can't do it as often as suggested, that that's it. I'll just stop. This is not working out, because that's your ego not wanting you to get to a place of brilliance, not wanting you get to to salvation, wanted to hold you back and destroy you. Don't let you do it as much as you can, even if you don't understand it, because it's still doing the work of changing what we see, which is upside down, to right side up. Oh, and this would be a perfect time. Can I read something?
Please,
It
go.
just so happens that I'm of course a miracle student, and I'm up to lesson 90, and this pertains exactly. Oh, the phone died. Ah. Okay, well there goes that. The phone died, but I know it was plugged in. But the lesson was that miracles are seen in light. Miracles are seen in light. It's not that all of a sudden they occur. They're there. But if we're coming from a place of ego and we're in the darkness, we can't see them.
Yeah.
We can only see them when we are in the light. Not that they're all of a sudden there and occur to us. They're always there. They're our God-given right, but we cannot see them unless they're in the light.
And I think the key word there is see.
Yeah.
Because
not with these eyes.
Right. It's going beyond the veil, sort of, that we put in front of our own eyes.
Yes, it is.
And see with another kind of vision. It's
our true vision.
Yeah.
The real vision.
Right. Yeah. Right. And this is what I always find is paradoxical, because that is like, okay, I want to have this kind of vision. Give me that special vision. What I'm starting to find is that it takes less work to have that
Oh my
vision.
God, yes.
Right?
When we try too hard, that gets in the way.
It does.
And
it's like, let go.
Let go and allow. Let go, let God allow, and then it will happen. When we try, see, the ego, and Marianne says it, is very, very, very clever. It'll take everything it can to work against us. Even our quest for our spirituality and our peace and our salvation, it'll take that and go, okay, I want that, and I want more of that, and I want more salvation, I want more peace, and go get it, go find it. It try to incorporate the mind to take action. No, that's the ego. So when you that's why meditation is so important. So when you're still and you're quiet, that's when you're aligning, right, horizontal with vertical, and that's when you're allowing, and that's when what you need to know will come to you in your intuition and your feeling. Not when we're, okay, I'm going to make this happen now. I'm going to take the bull. Marianne loves this one. I'm going to take the bull by the horns. No, that's suicidal. That's that's Marianne's favorite, one of her favorite ones. No, you don't take the bull by the horns. You trust and allow, and then the universe goes, good, thank you. Let me do what I need to do, and then let everything unfold in front of you.
And so then maybe even that part of that lesson, this idea of light, because again, we tend to associate light with good, dark with bad,
Yeah.
like we're very dualistic,
Yeah.
where light is really found in the pause, right? It's like just this kind of
In the stillness.
stillness.
That's when, in the quiet and the stillness, is when God, source, whatever you want to call it, our inner selves, our higher selves, comes to us and speaks to us through our intuition. They don't have words. Consciousness doesn't have words. It speaks to us here. So anytime we're anxious, depressed, angry, mad, that's our higher selves, our inner beings, communicating with us that we're off the path. We are not going down the path of least resistance. We're going off. So when we feel good, when we feel happy, exhilarated, that's right. Yes, keep going on that path. That's your best. That's the path for your highest good. That's the one. You just have to listen. You just have to listen.
I'll tell you what I just saw for you when you were talking about that, because we're talking light and dark. I saw night. Right? You just kind of being the night, and then like stars coming through your eyes.
Yeah.
So like there
That's a
is
nice,
right.
analogy.
It's dark and light at the same time, but darkness meaning stillness and quiet.
Yeah.
That's silence, and then within that space, light comes through, and that is the fullness. And that, for me, that helps me to be less afraid of dark, because growing up Catholic, I was scared
Yeah.
of dark,
Yeah.
of evil.
Yeah.
Evil, that's evil, that's bad thinking. God, do my rosary. But that's again fear and not love.
Right.
And that's what you started with us today, with that sense of.
Yeah. It's you come from a place of fear or you come from a place of love. And the Course in Miracles has a beautiful analogy. It says, Jesus says that the light is there. And if you can picture it, that it's just blocked from your vision from like dark clouds. The clouds have no weight to it. And if you just, without fear, sift through the dark clouds with no fear, even though you can't see it, you will get to the light. That's the
Yes.
analogy it says.
It's like moving through the
Yeah.
the veil again.
Yeah, the veil.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
I like that. I like being with that. Now you're also a musician,
I am.
and to me, music is like a direct connector to spirit.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Sound and sound healing
Oh, yeah.
and sound waves, because it's frequency,
And we are vibration.
right? So have you experienced a shift
Oh, my
in...
God, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, my God, yeah. I didn't even realize it. I feel it when I sing now, because when I'm singing, it's like a, oh my God, what is it? It's like, playing and singing now is like, it's like a chanting and a like a thank you to the divine is what it is. I don't say that, but I feel that, and I didn't realize it was coming through. But we do weddings. My band does weddings, and just a couple of weeks ago, the bride came over to me, and it was like I was a little taken aback because she said, "Oh my God, you're so," and this is like during her wedding.
Yes.
I was doing a couple of Billy Joel songs, and she came over to me to say, "Oh my God, you're so exhilarating. I feel like you're here to heal everybody." I went, "Yeah."
Wow.
And I wasn't like in my tuxedo behind my keyboard. I said, "Yeah, oh, thank you." Like that's coming through. But I guess that comes through. I mean, you can't hide that. That's when that comes through you.
Well, because again, it's making more of you available.
Is that what it is?
For the divine to come through.
I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're making room.
I guess, yeah.
And so the whole vibration, it's felt.
That's 100% true. That vibration, I never realized how true that is. We are vibrational creatures. We're energy. And that is felt. That is
Oh
felt.
my gosh. And music just reaches the soul. And I
Yeah.
think, like, I'm not good musically, but I'm a poet, so I kind of feel music in words. I feel like there is like a music of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's musical out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
There's something in just the way things
Well,
come together.
Abraham Hicks says it in these terms, that and Eckhart Tolle also references this, when you sit still in nature, which is very grounding, and you listen to the music of nature, which is just I mean, this might be a little ooh, but the wind blowing against the trees and the birds. When you can become one with that, that's you connecting with the universe, and that's the music of the universe.
Right, so that's really the opening of the ears again, like wow, listening differently
Yeah,
with the heart.
really becoming one with sound and nature. Yeah.
So let's just tell people about the Tuesday night,
Yeah.
right? So where is Marianne?
Marianne does a lecture every Tuesday night from Marble Collegiate Church, which is on 29th Street and 5th Avenue. Every Tuesday night, 7:30, she starts the lecture. It runs for an hour, and then from 8:30 to 9:30, she does the Q&A. And then she's so gracious with her time. It's incredible. She stays and signs books. She talks to people. I have seen her take people, because I'm almost always by her side, take people who are broken and in pain and off to the side. She either will meditate with them. I've seen her take them out for a drink that night or meet them later
Wow.
the next day for lunch, and she's incredibly gracious with her time. And this is every Tuesday night. Take advantage of it, please.
It really
And
is.
you can live stream her. Yeah, on Marianne.com. If you can't get down there, Marianne.com, you could live stream her every Tuesday.
And I know I've gone a couple of times,
Yeah.
and it's a great night.
What
in
a
the
great
city.
space.
It's
The energy in that room
beautiful.
is incredible.
And outside the church,
Yeah.
it's my favorite thing. What's outside the church? Do you know?
What, the sign?
No. There are ribbons.
Oh, the ribbons. I didn't even take notice, but you're right.
I love the ribbons. There are these thick ribbons outside this church in all different colors.
Yeah, what is that?
And
What is that?
it's just beautiful because
Yeah.
it blows. I actually did it at my school on our window boxes. I tied the ribbons to copy the church.
Did you really?
I loved it so much. But the outside of the church is beautiful. The inside is beautiful. And
Yeah.
the message is very inspiring.
And I should take note that although it's at a church, this is not a religious-based
True.
thing. And not at all. Course in Miracles is not based on any religion. And Marianne's the first one to say there's no one. It does not claim. I forgot how she puts it, but it does not claim that it's the only way or only path to the truth and enlightenment. Not at all. There are many ways there. Buddhism, Judaism, any way you want to get there, it's all fine. It's all the same. Really is all the same journey, the same path, the different journey to the same path. I'm sorry.
Well, and it's even though
It's just the space. She just uses the space, and not
totally,
not a
and even
religion.
though A Course in Miracles is channeling
Jesus, not religious.
it's not religion,
No.
and it's what I get from it. It's really more of the wisdom teaching.
Yeah.
It's taking human beings where we are and saying, all right, we've got to help evolve your thinking a little bit so that you can have more room for the wisdom teachings
Mm-hmm.
and the mystical teachings and the possibility that we are in fact all so capable
Oh my God, we all are.
of opening our hearts more.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, that's the journey here. Of course.
It is. But I think, John, like part of it is that we get very wounded, and it goes back to this forgiveness principle.
Yeah. Well,
where-
don't forget when you're forgiving, one of the Course in Miracles lessons, which was one of mine just a couple of weeks ago, was to hold a grievance against a brother is to hold a grievance against God. It's, in other words, it's like saying God's plan for salvation is incorrect. It's wrong. It's faulty. That God, even though He figured out how to grow trees and make babies and make the planets revolve around the sun, He didn't get this right. So I have a grievance against you. I'm pissed at you. I'm mad at you. When you do that, you are putting yourself in an egoic state, as if and you're directly attacking God. It says this in the Course in Miracles. So to have a grievance is to have a grievance against God. That makes no sense, clearly, right? So you have to forgive, not condone, and Marianne's is clear to say this, not condone anyone's behavior,
Bad
but
behavior.
forgive. In other words, to understand that that person is so far removed from who they really are, from their inner selves, from their higher being. They are so coming from an egoic place, and you can see around them and past them. So you're not condoning that behavior, but you're forgiving them for being so out of touch with who they really are. Clearly, you might have to just leave their space and not be with them out of a place of love. Remove yourself from their life, maybe even.
Right.
But from a
'cause
place of love.
Right. Love sometimes
Not out of a
says,
place,
"I
not from
can't
hate.
be
Because if you
around
come from a
you."
place of hate, that vibrates. They'll get it. They'll know it. They'll feel it. You'll feel it. It's still an attack. It's still an attack on God's perfect salvation. To have a grievance is to deny your salvation and their salvation. You are not only hurting them, you're hurting yourself. You never hurt just one person. It doesn't work that way. Course in Miracles is clear to say that. Marianne's analogy is just picture a sword over that person's head who you are hating, but it's not falling on them, it's falling on you. So to forgive them, again, it's not that you are condoning their behavior, but you're forgiving them so that they can be released from the Course in Miracles actually calls them insane. They're insane at that moment. And then releasing yourself from what happens to you when you hate.
And it is so true.
Oh my God, it's so important.
It grips.
Oh God, yeah.
It grips. To hold a grievance is such a grip. And to release it is the return to God. And like, okay. But I have a little bit of a hard question. After Mary passed, was there ever a time where you did have a grievance towards God?
Not a second. People would come to me and try to console me. And I would say, I so appreciated what they were trying to do, but I said, why not me? Like, why you? Well, no, why not me? Who am I?
Right.
What better if it wasn't me and it was him?
Well, that's kind of
I knew there was
radical thinking. Most people in pain aren't able to be that generous.
I was never mad at God. I just needed to understand. I needed to know what was going on. I feel now, I kind of think I know, that my wife was here because Abraham makes it clear to say that we all know when we take this journey exactly
what
we're in for. We've signed up for it. And my wife was so in tune naturally. It was a natural. She didn't know what A Course in Miracles was, but she was
doing it.
She was doing it. She was.
Yeah,
she was always coming from a place of service, naturally. And I know that she was here for the betterment of me and my 3 children. I just know it. Because I would have never gotten here if it wasn't for my wife's transition when she transitioned and how she transitioned, and my children who are. It's amazing how my children are getting this at this young age. They all are getting this. I don't think I'm forcing it down their throats, but they're just getting it. I'm living it, and they're seeing it, and they're living it, and by the time they get to be adults, it's going to be scary how in tune with their heart. What healers, they're going to be such healers just from living that life. And my wife was responsible. She pulled us here. She got us here, and this was the way to get us here.
Oh my gosh!
There was no other way to do it, and this was the way to do it. That's what I believe, and I didn't know that, but I sensed there was something more from her leaving like that so quick. So no, I was never angry at God.
Wow!
I just needed to know more.
You needed to
know Him more personally, and just that thirst. Okay, well, all right, what's going on?
Because it's more what I'm getting from what you're saying is that the pain was very real afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And to know God is to also know God's comfort.
Oh, yeah.
And so you needed God's comfort.
Oh, yeah.
And you are providing a comfort for your children.
I hope so.
At least you're giving them a method that's healthy.
Yeah.
It's a healthy comfort. It's a way to kind of look at or understand something that is mysterious and very difficult to understand and leaves a certain mark on the heart in a way that can bring comfort.
Yeah.
And right, isn't that what we have to do as parents? Be looking for that.
I hope so. I hope so.
What's next for you, John? What do you think? What's your vision?
Well, I guess, I like doing this. I love talking about this.
Yeah, I think you're gifted with it, honestly, because you're real.
Yeah, well.
It's real for you.
Yeah,
and you're passionate, and it rings true.
Yeah.
And whenever we're authentic, then that's going to work.
Yeah, I just want to be, I really do just want to be authentic, and whatever is put in my path, I know is put there for a reason. So I really just want to show up in every moment. I just want to be there.
Yeah.
I just want to be there in every moment authentically, and then, because I think I get how this works now. Whatever I'm ready for, the next step will be put in front of me, and I just want to meet it authentically, and know that okay, then now you're ready for this, and that's.
I love that, and because I actually hate the question that I just asked you, which is what's next, because it's such a wrong kind of thing to be thinking.
No, you could.
But when anyone asks me that, I'm always like, how am I supposed to know? But I love your answer, so I'm glad I asked a bad question.
It wasn't a bad question. I just want to trust and allow.
No, because I really need that answer, and I think it's a beautiful note to end on. It doesn't matter so much what is coming next.
Oh no, we're not supposed to rack our brain on what's coming next. Be present for it.
No, just
meet it.
Meet it.
Be authentic. Meet it.
Whatever is there, meet it with all of your heart.
I promised this year that I was coming from a place of truth and love, no matter what.
And that you can stand by and be proud of.
And I'm doing that.
I am just going to meet it with truth and with love. And so let's leave everybody with that. Yeah, try to just come from that place and trust that whatever is there ahead of you is really the light trying to come through.
Put there by the universe for our betterment.
It is the light. John, thank you. So, John, I started, right? I said 6 years ago I learned John's story, but I actually just met John about a month ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Personally. Yeah.
So, because our writing group started studying A Course in Miracles, and John has been gracious enough to run a Course in Miracles study group. Yeah. With our group, which is awesome. So may it begin the period of teaching and sharing.
Thank you for doing
more
that for
of
me.
it. We love it. We're so excited. So everyone be well. So good to have you
God bless
again.
You all.
And enjoy your week, everybody.